We are live on YouTube, and I'm about to usher us in. Let me just check to see that YouTube is running well. Let's see. Yep, we're running. Yeah. The internet can see me. All right, let's play that music. All right, and let's get this show on the road. Yeah. The day is here! NXT live on the USA Network. Shots fired. Triple H will be discussing today's events, the future, and so much more. I am your host, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Baby Boy, and alongside me, I got Big Ness in the building. We are ENTHooligins, the entertainment hub for all, and this is something we like to call Between the Ropes, where we discuss, obviously, wrestling. What's going on, Big Ness?
What's happening, everybody? Hope you're having a good one so far.
That's right, folks. And if you want to follow us on social media, Twitter links are listed down below, right there at the description. Look at it. Follow us, love us, like us, share us. And because we can, our YouTube channel is listed down below as well. So you can click on that, look at our channel content, visit past videos, have a little fun in there, right? And
that's right.
You can also help yourself to a little bit of the bubbly while you listen to our music via SoundCloud. Right. Mine and yours, truly, Ness. Right, folks?
That's right.
You can also follow my gameplays on Mixer. So, subscribe, like us. Also follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Anchor. Tell your friends to tell your friends to tell your friends, your friends. And your family too. They count. Right?
That's right. That's right, man. Tell everybody. Tell everybody you know.
Tell everybody is right. So,
yes.
Any shout outs today?
Shout out to all our old subscribers and to the new ones that have joined in. Thank you for riding along with us. Appreciate the support.
There we go. Now I'm looking for my notes here.
Yes.
Here we go. So I want to send a shout out, personal shout outs to Boogie Boogs. What's going on, Boogie Boogs? Lil Crystal, what's going on? My mom, my dad, obviously. Shout outs to Chris.
Right.
Happy birthday, my man. Hope you're spending it with your loved ones and having a hell of a time as well. Another shout out to you, Tony, Anthony. Shout outs to, who am I forgetting? Oh, the people from Misha's Music Element. Shout out to Dan Romero. Shout out to John Follis. Shout out to all you fine people. And if I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. Oh, Nancy, how could I forget about you? A big shout out as well. And whoever
that's
I forgot,
right,
shout outs to you as well.
Yes.
Now, before we came on air, Ness had an outer body experience. I'm gonna pretty much lay down the foreground here. What happened was, I had shown him NXT UK's main event featuring Tyler Bate and Volta. And be it that this is a show dedicated to NXT and all things NXT, the question I pose is, with what you have seen NXT-wise, talking about Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano, tag team ladder matches, everything that I've shown you NXT-wise, and now with the inclusion of Volta taking on Tyler Bate, what goes through your mind when you watch an NXT event, separating it from WWE, just looking at the product from the perspective of it's NXT?
NXT on its own is what? It has great potential to be the future of this industry.
When you examine a match such as Volta and Tyler Bate, what things or thing did you pick up on? Because there were a lot of elements there, yeah?
Yes, there were a lot of elements. And the very first thing that stood out to me is the uniqueness in the approach of both of these competitors. Because their approach to their styles is unique to somebody of their individual respective statures. It's not every day that you see a big man chain wrestle, climb the ropes, and methodically pick his opponent apart.
Right.
It's not every day that you see a small man use brute strength.
In Tyler Bate.
Against a larger opponent.
Right. Because Tyler Bate was legitimately lifting this guy up, and that is just freaky strength.
Yeah.
You know, and we've seen amazing small guys in wrestling as a whole.
Yes.
But I gotta admit, I've never seen anything such as Tyler Bate. And
Likewise,
I've never seen anything such as a Volta.
No. That's another thing I've never seen before either. We've seen plenty of big men before, but not like this.
When you think
We've seen plenty of small men.
Yes.
And not like Tyler Bate.
When you think great wrestling matches, now in modern times, I think Okada taking on Kenny Omega. I think from an emotional standpoint, I think Cody versus his brother. I think AEW, that is. I think about matches such as Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. I think about the trilogy that The Undertaker had with Dave Bautista even. But this was so unique. And I just, words cannot come close to describe how special of a match this is, and how
it's one of those that you would have to see it to understand, because it like you just said, words can't explain what that match was.
Really can't. And
it's one of those.
And there's a reason I am tying this match to what is going on today. Now, if you guys are still watching, there's a reason I am tying this in, and it's because of the following. In terms of everything that went on the 31st of August,
Yes.
we had Okada taking on Suzuki at New Japan Pro Wrestling's Royal Quest, which took place also in the UK. And we also had All Out, presented by AEW.
AEW, yes.
I watched this match. Now, if I told you that the whole entirety, the totality of that event of NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff, if I told you that every single match pretty much stole the show, and that Walter versus Tyler Bate was just beyond stealing the show.
Mm-hmm.
What type of a show do you categorize NXT UK TakeOver?
One for the ages.
One for the ages.
One for the ages. One of those that will be in the archives 10, 15, 20 years from now.
But when you take Tyler Bate versus Walter, when you take Okada versus Minoru Suzuki, when you take Cody in his
versus
match,
Dustin, yes. Mm-hmm.
I dare say this year, nothing at all can or will ever touch Tyler Bate and Walter. And I'm a fan of AEW. You guys know this. I'm a fan of New Japan. You guys know this. But I gotta be fair.
Yeah, we gotta be objective here. Yeah, I mean that particular match between Tyler Bate and Walter was one of a kind, to say the least. One of a kind, to say the least.
Yeah. You know, that match took you on such a roller coaster ride, and that match, I mean, you saw a little bit of everything. High-flying, chain wrestling, brawling, everything that you could want and ask for in a match was there. The psychology was there. The game of cat and mouse was there.
Oh, yeah.
Everything was there. So this brings me to this point. NXT versus AEW. If we are to believe, and I do believe strongly in Triple H's word, if we are to believe that McMahon and Kevin Dunn are not going to have their fingerprints on this, what does this say for what lies ahead for wrestling fans? What does this say in terms of what AEW needs to compete with?
Says that wrestling fans are going to be in for a hell of a ride when we talk about NXT and AEW both coming on Wednesday nights. And we're going to have a friendly Wednesday night war. And we've said this before, this is beneficial for the sport. This is a win-win for everybody. Mm-hmm. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Now, the one plus I will give AEW here is the fact that AEW gives you different variety of styles in wrestling.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so you know, their tag team division is obviously hot. Okay,
but yes,
when we look at NXT and when we look at what Triple H does with his boys, and when we look at NXT present, past, and the potential future, we're looking at things like the first ever match that aired NXT wise on the WWE network was Cesaro versus Sami Zayn. We look at matches like Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. We look at Nakamura versus Zayn, and there's a lot of Zayn here. We look at Samoa Joe versus Nakamura. We look at Sasha Banks versus Bayley, both matches including the Iron Woman match and the first match that they had at the Barclays Center. We look at Asuka versus Ember Moon. You know, Banks versus Becky Lynch. These are matches that, as pure wrestling fans, we look at these matches. These are matches that live forever. These are matches that withstand the test of time. You know. So
what was the what was the match you said after Bayley versus Banks?
Asuka versus Ember Moon.
Oh, okay.
Those are matches that live on. Those are matches that when you bring these matches up to a purist, they right away know what you're talking about, and they just take you through that journey without you even having seen the match. They could just take you through that emotional roller coaster because they lived it, because we watched it, because we felt every single emotion, just everything that embodied that.
Of course.
And if there's anything that NXT embodies, it's wrestling.
It would be it's the equivalent of somebody who's been married for years and years, and you ask them, hey, when did you realize that this person was the one?
Right.
They can immediately tell you when, the where, the how, the what, as if it happened yesterday.
Would it be fair to say that apart from AEW, like the Elite, Cody, and all them boys, Kenny Omega, would it be fair to say that other than just their exposure to NJPW, can you say that to some degree NXT was also very influential?
Yeah, I would say so. It'd be hard not to say that they didn't play a part in this as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You'd have to factor all of this in.
And one of the key components to that argument is when you look at AEW's tag team division and you talk about the Lucha Brothers, you talk about Private Party, you talk about
Dark Order.
Yeah.
The
Jurassic Express.
The Jurassic Express. Stronghold. What is it? Stronghold.
Strong Hearts.
Strong Hearts. There we go. LAX. Well, now they're Ortiz and Santana, as we now know them as.
But when you talk about those tag teams, you gotta look at NXT and what they've done tag team wise. We look at. Oh, how could I forget one of the greatest matches? I know I'm going back here, but man, I feel bad for forgetting this one. Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano, and that story.
Yes.
But again,
yes.
Going back to tag teams, though, when we look at tag teams, we look at teams like AOP, Undisputed Era, The Ascension, Revival, War Raiders, also known as War Machine in NJPW, the Street Profits, DIY, which was Ciampa and Gargano, American Alpha.
What about the Viking Raiders?
No, don't call them that. Do not call them that. You want us to lose credibility here on this podcast, I see. Anyway, disregard.
Yeah, we have to throw in a filler, right?
Do not call them that. Anyway, the Viking Raiders. So, obviously, I want to 100% believe that looking at NXT's tag team division past and present, obviously AEW wants to compete with that.
Yes.
And AEW wants to prove that they could put on a better tag team showing. But I also say that they influenced AEW to focus on tag team wrestling because NXT does so as well. Let's not forget, NXT also hold tag team tournaments. When we look at the Dusty Rhodes Classic, that's a tournament dedicated to tag team wrestling. So, in rolling all of this up, balling all of this information up, how good is this for TV?
It's excellent for TV. I mean, you kidding me? On Wednesday nights, you have a smorgasbord of choices. NXT and AEW. I say that's excellent for TV, and for the wrestling fan, I say that is a good problem to have.
And it's fun for the channel flippers.
Of course.
I know me, at any given moment, I could flip on to NXT and I'm like, oh wait, this match is on. I'll flip on to AEW. Oh, this match is... Oh, crap.
That's a good problem. That is a good problem to have. Yeah. That's excellent for TV. Of course.
Yes.
Let's go.
You know, when we talk NXT, we talk about storylines that, I don't want to say drag, but storylines that have longevity. Storylines that have a lot of substance, that make sense, that have meaning to them. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, mostly everything that NXT does has meaning. When we look at tonight's card, for example, we have a number one contenders match for Shayna Baszler's title. You know, it's a four-way. It's a four-way match. Mia Yim.
A four-way?
Yes.
For the belt.
Mia Yim versus
number one contendership.
Yep. Mia Yim versus Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai and Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair, who I feel is going to connect with a lot of fans. Now, I necessarily am not a fan of hers, but I can see why she has appeal. Her moxie, the hair whip thing that she does, and yes, I said moxie.
Moxie, huh?
Yes, and just her presentation alone. Yes, she has a long way to go in-ring wise, I feel, but I can see also how she can be very credible to viewers and very appealing to viewers as well, to a much broader audience too, on top of that. But, you know, moving on, we also have another match here between Killian Dane versus Matt Riddle in a street fight.
Ooh.
Now, Killian Dane was part of a group called Sanity, which also featured Eric Young. But the story there is basically Killian Dane and Matt Riddle have been fighting on and off, and sneak attacks, all that. You know, again, something with purpose. Wanting to prove a point. Wanting to prove who's the man.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right? And we have a North American title match featuring Roderick Strong versus the champ Velveteen Dream. Now, Roderick Strong is part of a group called Undisputed Era. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish have the NXT Tag Team Championships, and Adam Cole Baby has the NXT World Heavyweight title. So, two out of the three titles are taken. Mm-hmm. And if I am a betting man, I say tonight is the night where Undisputed Era takes control of NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And Roderick Strong becomes the champ.
They have a North American championship?
Yes.
Now, how did that come about?
Well, basically, you know how back in the day when it was WWF, and I'm talking the golden era, there was only three championships. There was the WWF Championship, there was the Intercontinental Championship, and there was the Tag Team Championships. If you won the Intercontinental Championship, that was a sign that you were knocking on the door to becoming heavyweight champion, or to hold the WWF Championship. And this is the same principle. This is the same principality that NXT. Right.
I gotcha.
It's the same concept here. And one thing I love about NXT is that we don't have this cluster of championships that mean absolutely nothing like the main roster. Championships are treated with respect. There's meaning behind people going after championships.
And that's the way it should be. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a sport, and people are competing to become champion. That's the main goal.
Right.
The main goal is to become champion, to prove that you are the best.
Right.
That's the whole premise of a competition.
You know, NXT, I feel, has potential, and well, it's been had potential, but what I'm saying here is, in terms of having characters that capture the imagination, the eye, and every other sense you can come up with, I think people like Velveteen Dream, people like Bianca Belair, people like oh gosh, what's her face? Not Killian Dane. Candice LeRae. People like Candice LeRae, they have appeal. They're very flamboyant. They're very, very credible in the way that they come across, the way that they wrestle, their psychology, the way they speak. Believable. And also you have characters like the Velveteen Dream, who is a larger-than-life type of character. Because you got to keep in mind, wrestling, when we talk about wrestling under the umbrella of WWE and NXT, AEW, there needs to be elements to it that are larger than life, right? Because it can't just all be this act of being serious. There needs to be comedy wrestling. There needs to be you need to have your different styles of wrestling. Brawlers, your high flyers. You need to have your technical wrestlers. You need to have your comedy wrestlers. You need to have even if you're a jobber, you could be a jobber who does a pretty damn good job at it. And case in point to that would be somebody like, what name could I throw out there? Who's a great jobber right now in NXT? Oh Lord, what's his face? Man, if I could remember his name right now. Cesaro's tag team partner once upon a time, and I cannot remember his name.
Watch it come to you later on. Watch.
when Cesaro was when Cesaro used to fight as Castagnoli. And I can't remember his name right now. I should probably look this up. Cassius Ohno. There we go. A great example of somebody who's a gatekeeper, somebody who builds younger talent, somebody who puts that young talent over. Let's not forget, that's how Matt Riddle got started in NXT. Mm-hmm. And mind you, that's another guy who has appeal, is Matt Riddle. Another person who has appeal, Shayna Baszler, as the champion. You know, the way that NXT builds their characters and their wrestlers is it's refreshing.
Yeah, because they're essentially using these people's skill set and going, okay, this is how we're going to utilize you.
Yes. Pete Dunne, somebody with appeal. You know, Walter, Tyler Bate.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Big, strong boy. Yep. Walter, somebody who... I call him Okada 2.0. He's somebody who can definitely appeal. You know, and I'm going out on a limb here and saying, yes, we will see crossover between NXT and NXT UK, 205 Live, and if Triple H is serious about adding other NXT extension brands such as NXT Japan, NXT Mexico, think about...
the potential there is limitless, man. When you talk about the landscape of wrestling around the world.
And you know, truthfully, when AEW arrived on the scene, and everyone was talking about AEW versus WWE, myself included, in the back of my mind, I always would say to myself, but it should be AEW versus NXT.
I thought that as well. That's why I feel, and I stand by this, that NXT should be on FX1 instead of USA.
Well, that was going to be the deal, but... See, okay, let me get into that since you brought it up. In a sense, I understand why they did that, though, because USA Network is viewed on more households than Fox Sports 1. I also get the argument of it should be on Fox Sports 1, be it how NXT is very much sports-oriented. But I also get it from the business standpoint of, well, if we could grab a couple more heads here on the USA Network, then take the chance with the platform that could give us a bigger audience. You know, I do get it from that standpoint.
We're just we're just splitting hairs here, but yeah.
Right, absolutely. You know, but I also get, I was also of the belief that Fox 1 would have definitely been a perfect home for them.
Yes. But instead, they are going to premiere on USA tonight.
Right.
So I'm sure you guys will be tuning into that.
Now, what do you feel happens if, two scenarios, AEW beats NXT in ratings and or vice versa? Does it hurt either or? Or do you see more of a seesaw battle going on? What happens in your opinion?
If in fact Triple H keeps NXT under his control alone, I can see this being a seesaw battle between NXT and AEW.
To where potentially nobody necessarily seizes control in terms of the ratings war.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
I could definitely see that happening. I could definitely see AEW drawing numbers with the appeal of a Chris Jericho, drawing numbers with the appeal of an MJF, with their tag team presentations.
Their women's division.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a very exciting time, I dare say, if you are a wrestling fan. And like I always say, have fun with this, man. We are all winners at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
We are all winners. But when a show is better than the other, I will go on here and I will be honest with you guys. I will tell you, if I felt that for the week AEW was better, that's gonna be the focus. If I feel that NXT was better, that's gonna be the deal. And there will be times when NXT is going to best AEW, and there will be times where AEW will best NXT. And there's the fun. That's the fun part of all of this.
Absolutely. What could be more fun than having two great wrestling shows to watch on the same night?
Right.
What could be more fun than that? As a wrestling fan, what could be more fun than that?
Now, let me ask you this. From somebody who's looking at wrestling from the outside in, what would you say to the wrestling fan such as myself? What would you say to them? I mean, going beyond the aspect of, okay, guys, have fun, and all of that generic stuff.
Say to them as far as what?
As far as, let's go this route, as far as the element of behavior, respect.
Yeah, to them I say, just enjoy what you enjoy and let enjoy. Simply, if you are solely an NXT person, great. Enjoy it. If you're a solely AEW person, enjoy that too.
Right.
And if you want to have friendly debates, go ahead. But let's just remember, this is all in fun. It's all supposed to be fun. Enjoy yourself.
Right. Don't name drop or name call anybody.
Yeah, don't take it too seriously, man.
Right.
At the end of the day, you don't have anything significant invested in this, okay?
Right, exactly.
It's okay.
What do you feel is a key to success in AEW besting NXT? Because NXT is a tough mother effer to compete against.
I think the key for AEW to maintain their success is to maintain that balance, to maintain that variety that they currently offer.
variety will be AEW's key to success, basically.
Yes. Absolutely.
And what would be the argument for NXT besting AEW?
Well, the first argument would be just the brand name in and of itself, because it's under the WWE banner. It's one of those where it's like, yeah, they're the logo for American pro wrestling. They're the face of American pro wrestling.
That's a lot of weight.
So just by that alone, one could look at that as them already besting AEW.
Right, and that is a great point. A very great point, because by default, as it is right now, as hot as AEW is, WWE is still that face. Right now.
Yes. Right now. As of right now, WWE is still the face of American pro wrestling.
Do you feel that now that NXT is going to be on the USA Network, do you feel that it can influence the main roster to change if Triple H starts becoming as successful, if not more successful, than AEW?
I certainly hope so.
You know, let's take into consideration that Vince McMahon is, in a sense, letting go of his grip a little bit and letting Paul Heyman take control.
Well, if he keeps that up, then yeah, it would certainly definitely influence the main roster to keep up with their colleagues.
Right.
That would be a win-win for everybody. Like,
bro, it would be the most beautiful thing to happen in all of wrestling. In all of my time watching this, look, I've watched the Attitude Era. I've been through the Golden Era. I've been through the New Generation Era. I've sat through WCW Saturday Nights. I've sat through WCW Nitros, Thunders, the first ever TNA show when Ken Shamrock became the first ever Impact champion. I've been through all of it, man. Ring of Honor events. Yeah. I've been to countless of those. I've been to one NJPW we went when they were here in MSG. Come on.
Speaking of MSG, real quick, UFC November 2nd.
Once again.
Diaz versus Masvidal.
Yep.
Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal at the Garden.
Once
November
again,
2nd.
their visit to the Garden, folks.
Woo!
So, I mean, I know my stuff. I know what I'm talking about here. But here's the deal. I know, pretty interesting, huh? That's Bray Wyatt, man. But my point is this. I've been through all of it. Some of it was blah. A lot of it was great. But right now, wrestling has the potential, I'm not going to say to become as big or as popular. I'm not going to use those words. But what I am going to say is it has the potential to be the best that it's ever been. In terms of craftsmanship, presentation, availability.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Come on. It's the best.
I tell you, the best thing to ever happen to the American pro wrestling fan was New Japan.
That opened so many eyes, and that influence, I dare say, that influenced everyone to want to do a tournament nowadays.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and sure, tournaments existed before New Japan was even a thing here in the U.S., but when we were exposed to that, oh, beautiful G1, that propelled a lot of companies to follow suit. You know, but again, I feel, going back to the original point here, I feel that this will be and can be, and to some degree already is, the best time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, hard to argue with that.
So, I mean, I couldn't be any more excited. I just, in many cases, the unknown scares a lot of us, but in this situation, the unknown excites me.
Yeah. In this particular situation, yeah, the unknown is exciting because what makes it exciting is the could be.
Yes.
What could be. That's the exciting part. Like, wow, what could this become?
And for that reason alone, you should root for both AEW and NXT to be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's gonna be a hell of a ride, and you know what? I am excited for this too. For people who never got to experience Monday Nitro versus Monday Night Raw, you got it right here. You got it right here.
This will be it. Yep. And it all begins October 2nd.
Right. How do you feel about NXT getting the jump off though? Clever, huh?
Pretty smart on their end, yes.
And those are just 3 matches that I announced. The rest of the card hasn't been... Well, I'm sure it's determined already, but they haven't leaked it out yet. So I'm not sure what other matches are on that card. But just those 3 matches alone, a street fight, a #1 contendership for the women's title, and the North American Championship up for grabs. Come on.
You just have to tune in. You just got to tune in to see what other surprises they have for you.
Absolutely. You know they're going to go, no pun intended here, all out.
Yeah.
You know that.
Of course they are. Of course.
What would you say to fans who say are contemplating getting back into wrestling?
Wow. That's a good question.
And I ask you because I think out of anyone you could drive a better sell than I can.
Well, to the fan out there who's contemplating on getting back into wrestling, think about what made it appealing for you in the first place. And this is what they're now presenting to you now. The opportunity to recapture that and then some.
Is it fair to say that both AEW and NXT capture different emotions?
They do, yes. That they do.
Good guys are good guys and heels are heels, right?
Yeah. Pretty cut and dry. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no, yeah.
It's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, and yeah. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that at all. That's great.
Yeah, because these are the elements that WWE main roster have let go of.
Wow, it's a shame. It really is.
But I really do hope that what goes on here propels and influences the main roster to want to be and do better. And I hope Paul Heyman can keep on influencing McMahon.
Yeah. We all know Paul Heyman's resume is well documented.
Oh, yes.
Guy's a genius.
Remember when he took SmackDown by the reins?
Oh, of course. It became the #1 show over Raw.
Yeah, and
I mean,
Raw was the baby.
Yeah.
Raw was the baby, but yet here we have a show in SmackDown that just blew Raw away, basically. SmackDown was the show you wanted to watch.
Yeah. And now, I mean, if McMahon does allow Paul
go ahead.
to do what he does, if McMahon does allow Paul Heyman to do what he does best, then you know what? It's a win-win. Well, my question would be, why not?
Hence, this is why.
Why not?
This is why I've always said, bro, it's not necessarily the fact that the brand split is stupid or however else people want to deem it. The brand split is brilliant concept if executed correctly, and it was executed correctly when it was Heyman versus who was the GM at the time on Raw?
I think was it Bischoff?
Bischoff was around when Stephanie was the general manager on SmackDown. Bischoff had Raw.
Who the heck had Raw? I think. Oh my God, I forgot who had Raw. Who was the manager of Raw at that time? But yeah, you just made that was the point. You just made that same point that I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, that brand split itself is not a stupid because it was successful for a long time.
Yes,
it was.
And I will also say, PG is not the problem. To any of you thinking that PG is the problem in the main roster, get out of here with that. I don't want to hear it. PG ain't the problem. The problem is the presentation. The problem is the heavy scripts. The problem is the way that the announcers come across. I hope that changes. Listen, Fox is going to push WWE to that point. I have this feeling. I don't know. Call me crazy.
I got a feeling.
But I do. I have this feeling that Fox is going to push their right in.
I say go for it, Fox. Do it.
And obviously that's going to trickle down. Obviously that's going to trickle down to Raw over on the USA Network. Because how's it going to look, bro? NXT is putting on kick-ass shows. SmackDown is putting on kick-ass shows. AEW's doing their thing. And the only oddball there is going to be Raw?
Raw.
Of course Raw's going to want to.
No.
Of course Vince is going to say, damn it, we got to get Raw under control.
That's right.
You know that.
That's right.
Damn it, get me Heyman.
Usually I'll get on here and I'll crap all over the main roster, but look, I've sat through Raw a couple of times now, and I even sat through the last pay-per-view. I'm not gonna say it's perfect. I'm not gonna say that it's all great, but I'm not gonna crap all over it. Weird for me to say.
No.
But if I'm saying that they must be doing some things right.
Something right. Yes.
This is why I'm hopeful that this whole NXT AEW thing propels everybody to the damn dance.
Of course. Because again, you talked about the presentation. That's essentially what the problem currently is. The presentation, the storylines that don't seem to make sense, the constant last minute changes every seemingly every week. That was the problem TNA was having, once upon a time. Storylines didn't make any sense. They were hard to follow.
Yeah.
One week, one guy, a face was a heel. The next week, he's a face. One week, the two people that were in a storyline against each other were fighting each other. The next week, they're teaming up. It didn't make any sense.
I'm glad you brought up Impact, because now they seem to have their scripts, in order. However, their TV deal have been not so good. Now, thankfully, they've reached a deal with ASX, which is a great thing. A lot of people have access to Access TV.
Yeah.
The thing is, what day do they want to be on? I'm sure they don't want to compete with AEW and NXT on Wednesdays. I'm sure they don't want to compete against SmackDown. We know how that went. I'm sure when they were competing against Raw. I'm sure they don't want to compete against Raw. So the only day that leaves for them is Tuesday or Thursday.
Yep. They should. Well, I mean, they used to be on Thursdays. They should go back to Thursdays.
Back to the Thursday format?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here, man. Let's see what happens. Could Impact Wrestling be like that? Like that third brand? Because, okay, Because on this side we have NXT. On the other side we have AEW.
Right.
And then we have Impact. Like it was back when WWF on this side, WCW on that side, and then we had ECW.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Could this be painting a similar picture?
This could. This absolutely could. You know, TNA just reached a deal with Access TV.
They have a hell of a women's division. The best women's division, I dare say, Impact has.
Shout out to the Knockouts. That's right. That's what they do. There you go. You got Impact on Access TV now. You got AEW, soon to premiere on TNT. You got NXT, soon to premiere tonight on USA. But yeah, this could very well be a renaissance of that time period.
Mm-hmm.
A rebirth of that time period. Yeah.
What would you say is the most captivating thing about AEW and NXT? If you pick them out single-handedly.
Single-handedly, this is interesting.
Yeah, without similarities, right? Something that differentiates NXT and AEW. What makes them special? and the crow theme from Steve Borden starts to play.
Wow. I think the one thing that stands out about NXT would be their... Wow. Just the all-around presentation that gives you that sports element.
Mm-hmm.
All-around presentation.
It does.
And and what stands out about AEW is that they bring to you this nostalgia with a little bit of that new car smell on top. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. With their video vignettes and their docu-series style type of presentation with individuality showcasing the wrestlers and.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Fan interaction is obviously very important to both NXT and AEW.
Absolutely. And it's obvious that both of those fan bases are definitely engaged. For sure.
Oh yeah.
There is no denying that. Both of those fan bases are engaged.
Absolutely.
They're in tune. They can't. They are interested. They are animated.
Absolutely.
They're all in.
Yep.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun. It's like I said, it's gonna be a very, very exciting time. It's like I said before, there's no better time to be a fan than right now. You know, people may
Christmas has come early for you guys.
It has. People may not be all in the up and up like it was when Attitude Era was around, but again, to me, the Attitude Era was great, but the Ruthless Aggression Era was way better. Mm-hmm. Because you know, how much I value in-ring work. So this is Ruthless Aggression Era to the infinite exponent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is the modern day Ruthless Aggression Era. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
with an attitude.
I think we've squeezed all the juice out of this.
Yes, I believe we did. Wow. And I for one was left speechless after watching that particular match for sure. I was like, what the hell did I just watch?
I gotta get the hell up out of here. I got a show to catch.
That's right. You don't want to miss it.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But we'll be back tomorrow, folks.
Yes, indeed. We will be back tomorrow with Sports Vista Football Thursday. We'll be recapping Week 2. We'll be previewing Week 3. And our head-to-head wager will be honored for Week 2. So you don't want to miss that, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. And for those of you that will be catching us later on Spotify, Anchor, and on here on YouTube, thank you for tuning in as well. Thank you very much. And of course, remember, you guys can follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook. And for your listening pleasure, you can also follow us on SoundCloud. So until tomorrow, folks, God bless. Peace.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. And I want to leave you guys with this. While you're watching NXT tonight, while you watch what's to come the upcoming weeks, for the next couple of months, for the next couple of years, I want your reactions to be such as what was the reaction of my colleague Ness when I showed him the match between Volta and Tyler Bate. And his reaction was such that all he could say by the end of that match and presentation was, "What the hell did I just watch?" Have fun with this, folks. Have debates. Be civil about it. And as he said, let everyone ride with their preference. If you're an AEW guy, so be it. NXT, WWE, Impact, New Japan, so be it. If on Wednesdays you choose to watch both and go channel flipping, hey, that's your deal. If you choose to watch one and the other one later, that's your call. And if you're exclusive to one, don't say to another person that they suck just because they don't necessarily agree with you. Have fun, y'all. Be blessed. I'm Baby Moore for ENTHooligins, saying goodbye till next time and leaving you with a resounding see ya. Till next time, everyone. Stay tuned tomorrow. Over and out.
Making his way to the ring.